Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about Aleph's tips. So the first tips that I want to share with you, and this is assuming that Aleph is P0, okay? So the first tips is you want to use S1, his first skill, every round in order to maintain +1 AP. This is very crucial because at the moment, Aleph, Voyager, and Barcarola, they are very AP hungry. So you want to have all 5 slots of AP for every round. Okay, so that is tips number 1. For tips number 2 is you want to ensure your party have clarification stack every round as well. And clarification, it lasts for 3 rounds. So you have to cast it at least every 3 rounds. However, if you want to go for higher damage, especially during the burst phase, what I meant by burst phase is the phase after Aleph uses his ultimate. Because that is the phase that you can stack up a lot of incantation, a lot of inspiration, a lot of instances of impromptu attacks, and that is the time where you do the most damage. So in that case, you want to get 4 stacks of clarification. So again, tips 2 is to ensure the party have clarification, so use S2 every round. But for tips 3, but if you want for higher damage during burst phase, I would suggest or recommend to you to use S2 once before Aleph uses his ultimate and once after Aleph uses his ultimate. Okay, so in that case, you will get 4 stacks during the burst phase. Why do I suggest that you use it 1 turn before the ultimate? That is because of moxie. When Aleph has his ultimate, let's assume this is Aleph's ultimate, right? And now Aleph has 5 moxie. If you use this and then you use this, that moxie by using Aleph incantation will be wasted. Right? Similarly, if I use this, then this moxie will be wasted. And that will become an issue in terms of keeping up with everyone's rotation. If I use this after the ultimate, Aleph will be in a channeling status. So later I will demonstrate it again, but Aleph will be in a channeling status. So in that case, he will not be able to cast his S1. Okay, although he will get his moxie, but he will not get the effect. So I do not suggest us to use S2 when you are going to use his ultimate. Alright, however, for S1, no choice, we have to use it every round. So make sure it is used before the ultimate, or else you won't get the effect. Okay, so this is tips number 3. Use S2 once before the ultimate and once after the ultimate to get 4 stacks of clarification during burst phase. The 4th tips is about his ultimate. So I'm going to stop this video for now. I'm going to record it back when I get to his ultimate. Alright, so now I get his ultimate. I need to reset it. Hopefully I get his incantation. Alright, great. This is perfect. Okay. Yeah, when you get this ultimate, I will not put this into the infographic because I think it's like quite obvious. You guys would know how this function, but here I'm going to explain it to you. The first 2 incantation that you use, and that is the incantation that he will memorize. Even if you use his ultimate first and then you use the incantation later, he will still memorize them. So don't worry about it. But if you want to memorize his incantation, you have to use it before his ultimate. If you use it after his ultimate, I believe he will still memorize it, but in this turn, that effect will not be triggered, right? So if you think that you do this and you can get AP +1, no. Next round, you will just have 4 AP instead of 5 AP. Okay? And let's say if you don't want to memorize a left incantation, so you can do this, and then memorize. So this will memorize 2 of Barcarola's incantation, but it will not memorize Aleph's own incantation because you only can memorize 2 incantation unless you have P2. Okay, so I will not put this in the infographic, but basically this is regarding the mechanics about his ultimate, which if you use it several times, you will know how to use it, right? So instead, what I'm going to mention here is tips 4. When its ultimate is ready, the first 2 incantation will be added into the spell list, right? But which incantation should we use? So here I'm going to recommend use the inspiration with the highest, use the incantation with the highest inspiration, so that you get more inspiration and higher damage in the next round, which I call it the burst phase. The phase after Aleph's ultimate, I call it the burst phase. So if you have several incantation, all of them has very high inspiration. Which one will you choose? Okay, here are the priorities. Barcarolas, and this is assuming that Barcarolas has Quartet, and the whole party now you have 3 Quartet. At the moment, I do not have any Quartet. So if I do not have any Quartet, it doesn't matter if I use this or if I use this, the effect is the same. But if the party has 3 Quartet, then the effect will be double, right? So like this one, it will give 2 instances of impromptu attack, and this one, it will give a total of 40% damage dealt instead of 20%. Okay? So the priority here is to prioritize Barcarola's incantations for maximum damage. However, if you are more concerned over the rotation, like now you are at turn 4 and the round is going to continue maybe on the turn 10 or whatsoever, like you still have to keep on with the rotation, I would suggest to use one of Aleph incantation. Because if now you memorize this, in the next round it will be automatically used, and in that case, you don't have to use S1 again in the next round. So that save up 1 AP slot. Okay, so it makes the whole rotation a little bit more comfortable for you to maintain, or else you will be in a position where you may not be able to get Barcarola's or Voyager's ultimate up every 3 rounds, which is what they need to do in order to maintain Quartet as well as Voyager's debuff on the enemy. Okay, so that's what exactly I'm going to do, but of course I'm going to use Barcarola's first. 1, 2, memorize. And here I'm going to use Voyager's because I need Voyager's ultimate to be ready in the next round. Okay, so you can read in the comment section on the priority. What I stated there is Barcarola's S1, Aleph S1, Barcarola S2, Voyager S1, and Voyager S2. But let's say if you have no reason to sustain your rotation, you can remove Aleph S1 and straight go for Barcarola's S1, Barcarola S2, then Aleph Voyager S1, Voyager S2, then Aleph S1. Okay, at that point, it doesn't really matter the last few incantation which one you want to prioritize. Okay, so basically Barcarola's incantation is our priority. Okay, so now during the burst phase, right? So remember tips number 3, I told you always start off with S1 to get 4 stacks of clarification. And here we do not have S1 to get the +1 AP, but it doesn't matter because Aleph himself, I memorized S1, so he will be using S1 and I will get that +1 AP. Okay, so in this case, again, whatever you want to use those with the highest inspiration, and priority is similar, go for Barcarolas. But do not go for 4 incantation of Barcarolas. You will not have enough Eureka to trigger all the effects. So here are tips number 5. Okay, during the burst phase, first of all, use Aleph S2 if clarification is not maxed out. Okay, use Aleph S2 if incantation is not maxed out. Second condition, do not use more than 3 of a unit's incantation. They need Eureka to activate their effect. selecting too many incantations from the same unit, like this, okay, and you will not be able to activate their effect. If you have selected 2 of Barcarola's incantation before, so in this round, select just 1, whereby the other should go for Aleph and should be used for Voyager. If you selected 2 of Voyager's incantation before, then you should prioritize on using all of Barcarola's incantation as long as it's below 4. If you have memorized Aleph incantation, especially S1 in the previous round, and then in this round, you don't need to cast it again because he will automatically cast it and give us +1 AP for the next round. And this will make the whole rotation a little bit more easy to manage. So I do recommend that you should be memorizing Barcarola's incantation and one of Aleph incantation. Barcarola's, again, priority should be S1, but S2 is almost as good. I've done some calculation. In fact, at certain time, S2 is even better than S1. Okay, so don't stress over using S1 or S2 to memorize S1 or S2. Either one should be fine as long as you have 3 quartets. Okay, but for this demonstration purpose, even though I do not have 3 quartets, I'm still going to prioritize Barcarola's incantation. And lastly, if you have an ultimate, use it. Ultimate gives 8 inspiration, so it will boost quite a lot of impromptu's damage, although it doesn't add the instances of damage, but the inspiration will be high enough that they will be hitting hard. And also with that, Barcarola S1 become more important. Since inspiration now is very high, you want to be attacking more time as much as possible. So here, S1 to get clarification stacks to max. Use this. And now I have a choice of using 2 Barcarolas. I will use both of this in order to get more attack out. Then I will actually use Voyager. But because I want to demonstrate to you the Eureka, that Barcarola will not have enough Eureka. So here, just for demonstration purpose, I'm going to use Barcarola's incantation. So now there is 4 Barcarola's incantation. Okay. So I will have over 30 inspiration. And Barcarola's Eureka, look at that. Now it's at 6, now it goes to 4, now it goes to 2. And now it's 0. And she only have 1 Eureka. Right? So this last, it will not trigger the effect because she needs 2 Eureka to trigger the effect. Right? So if I use Voyagers, then it would have been better. Okay? It would have been better. Alright, so that is tips number 5. So overall, regarding the rotation, tips number 6 is regarding the rotation, a left rotation with Barcarola and Voyager. So now he have 1 moxie because I used S1 in the previous round. Okay, so here I'm going to maintain for a more like relaxed rotation. Here I'm going to use S2. Okay, before this, okay, here I'm going to use S2, and then in the next round I'm going to use S1. Sorry, apologies. During the during the burst phase, I have used S2. I do not have to use S1 because the alt casts S1 anyway. So I use S2, so I have 1 moxie, right? So I consider this as round 3. Now is the round after I've used S2. I use S1 to get 1 more moxie. So now I have 2. Okay. Right. So here I'm going to use S1 again. Okay. I need to get Voyager's ultimate, right? So I need to use both of Voyager's and Barcarola's. Then I will use S2 again to make sure I have that plus 5 AP. I'm plus 1 AP. So in that case, my clarification stack in the next turn, it might drop off. Okay, so I need to recast it. But this is perfect because now I have 3 moxie. In the next round, if I recast S1 and then S2, I will have exactly 5 moxie. Then I will get his ultimate again. Okay. This is taking a bit too long. It's really interrupting how I'm going to explain it. But yeah, okay. So here it is. Please give me a left rate. Great, okay. So again, it's actually very subjected to RNG, and the rotation I'm recommending to you is very ideal, which sometimes you might not be able to even pull it off. Okay, in that case, do use 1 round to try to reset back all your rotation and get on with it. But anyway, here I'm going to use this because again, remember tips 3. The next round, if I'm getting his ultimate, I will use his S1 the round before. So this is exactly what I'm doing. Okay. Right. So let's say in this case, I did not memorize. Okay, now I'm being lucky. Okay, let's say in this case, I did not have Aleph S1, as in I did not memorize Aleph S1. Let's say because I need to keep up with everyone's rotation. So I end up with using Barcarola's incantation. Alright, so this is what I will do. Okay, memorize. Okay. So in that case, 1, 2. Do I have? Okay, I can reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, not more than 3. And I memorized 2 of Barcarola's incantation before, right? So I only can use 1 more in this burst phase. Right? So now I have exactly 3. Okay, so in this case, if you did not manage to memorize, like, if you didn't memorize Aleph incantation in a previous round, so he will have 2 moxie. So this actually shortened his rotation a little. Right, this shortened his incantation a little. That is because now I have used S1 and S2. In the next round, I will use S1 and I will get 3 moxie. Then in the round after that, I will use S1 and S2 again. Okay, so here I'm going to use S2, 3 moxie. Okay. Okay, Voyager has no more Quartet. I need to refresh it. Right, so here I'm going to do this, and I will get 5 moxie. So in this case, which means in the next round, I will be able to cast his ultimate again. Right, so if you compare to the previous rotation that I made, I take 5 rounds to get back to his ultimate, so that is the 5 turn rotation. This one is the 4 turn rotation. Ideally, this would be better, but because Voyager and Barcarola are very AP intensive and it's quite difficult for you to be resetting incantation all the time and hope for the best, so I would suggest you go for the 5 turn rotation. It will make things more comfortable to maintain. However, later when we have Regulus, and Regulus is not AP intensive, not as AP intensive as Voyager, so in that case, you can sustain a 4th turn rotation for Aleph. But I will keep that for discussion when Regulus comes back. Okay, so this is tips number 6, the rotation for 4 turns and rotation for 5 turns. So I've demonstrated to you how it goes. Okay, one more thing to mention, which is tips number 7, which I'm not going to demonstrate it to you here in this video, is that if you are playing reveries or some stages that you know you will win in maybe 6 rounds, 7 rounds, or 8 rounds, you don't really need to actually push for a left ultimate rotation several times. You can keep up with Barcarola's rotation, get up to 3 Quartet, save up the ultimates, right? Save up their ultimates until the burst phase. So which means it's like you get to Aleph, and then now you use Aleph incantation. So something like this. Now I'm going to show it to you. Tips number 7 is, let's say I'm going to memorize this again. Memorize this. Okay, so you see in the burst phase, I will get Barcarola's ultimate. So as I mentioned, ultimate gives a very big boost to inspiration. So sometimes if you want to push for just a burst phase and win the fight immediately, then you can actually store the ultimate. Like Voyager, you don't have to use it until then you reach the end of like the 6th or the 7th round. Then after that, you use both the ultimate during the burst phase together with Barcarola's incantations, and then hit the enemy with it, right? It is very likely by that time, most of the enemy, even in reveries, they will be dead. Okay, they will be dead. Okay, 1, 2, 3, sorry. Okay, yeah, so basically this is the 7th tips, right? To plan for a burst phase to do as much damage as possible so that you can kill the enemy within then, and then you don't have to sustain the rotation anymore. In that case, you don't have to worry about a left incantation. You don't even need to use it. Like, you don't even need to use this. Okay? And for the final tips, the 8th tips is here we have other characters. So I would say don't be afraid to use Aleph outside of impromptu. That's because he still provides 40% incantation might. The debuff that he does, where is it? Interpretation is 10 to 20% mental defense down, damage taken reduction down. So, and plus 1 AP. Those are still very good stats, right? Or buffs, debuffs, whatever you want to call it. It's still a very good damage amplification for anyone that focus on incantation as their damage output. So what character is that? Liang Yue can utilize this, and Aleph can memorize rank 3 of of Liang Yue's incantation, which makes Liang Yue able to do even more damage, and Liang Yue's utility to increase the rank of Aleph incantation also make it easier for us to get 4 stacks of 4 stacks of clarification. If not, you will most likely get like 30% incantation might if you cast Aleph S2 as rank 2. Okay, so Liang Yue, a good synergy. Then petrification team, Jessica. Because Jessica, among all incantation, I believe hers to be doing the most damage. If you go for rank 3, 450 and a max of 100%, additional 100% plus 100%, so 650 with if the enemy is petrified and then you are critting, you will do a lot of damage. So you want to use as many of Jessica's incantations as possible, which Aleph can memorize and then cast it again. So any Fuwa team that also use incantations, like Anjonala, and Anjonala is mental damage, so that's even better. Jiuliangzi, okay, 37. So all those can actually benefit from Aleph. So do not be afraid to use it outside of impromptu. Okay? Yeah, but obviously it is best to use him in impromptu. That's where he performed the best. Yeah, but that's that. Alright? So thank you very much for watching this video. So this is the 8 tips for Aleph. And yeah, thank you.